Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings. For me, it is currently Saturday night, September the 17th, 2016. This will be going up on its usual time slot, Sunday the 18th. I hope everyone has had an excellent 2 weeks. It's been a little while since I've been here. I had to take last week off because of so many commitments over the weekend that I needed to do. But that is over and done with now for a while, so hopefully everything is running full steam and trying to catch up with all the games and everything that I've been playing. So many things I've been recording, and it's there's only more coming down the pike as it is. So I've got a whole list of things here. Let's see if I can order these in a way that makes the most sense. Got a lot of bases to cover. We'll see how much I can peel off of here, but we'll start off with PlayStation 4, Sony PlayStation news, we'll say. The PS4, Sony announced PS4 Pro this past week. I'll link it to Polygon, which gives you all the sort of details about that. Apparently the PS4 Pro is going to have 4K abilities on it with HDV or whatever it is. HDR I think it is. So it supports 4K TV screens and HDR screens, and that's about it. There was some, the hardware is pretty lackadaisical. There's not much going on there beyond what you get off of a normal PS4. And the not all the games are going to be 4K and stuff like that. In fact, a lot of them aren't going to be, and the ones that are might be scaled up. It's a scaled up 4K resolution, not a true 4K resolution. So there's going to be some weirdness in terms of that. It's been a very, very lukewarm feeling, I think, from the community as far as that is concerned. There's not really a whole lot going on under the covers there. It's just much like Microsoft with the Xbox One Slim. Sony's kind of just iterating a little bit and not really innovating. So that's where they stand on that. I don't really have too much to say about that because I don't really follow the PlayStation too much. But it's from what I've seen, from what I've read, like, even though you can play some games in a upscaled 4K resolution, it doesn't support like 4K Blu-rays, which you would think, if you're going to buy a system like that plugs directly into your TV and it's got a Blu-ray player on it, you would think you would get one that, and you have a 4K TV, which not too many people actually do have. Then you would think you'd start to upgrade your, use it as a Blu-ray player and stuff. And that's not the case. But apparently the Xbox One Slim does support 4K Blu-ray. So I don't know. I mean, the Blu-ray format was actually Sony's format. This is what I find funny about that. Blu-ray format, disc format was, we had the old what was it? Blu-ray versus what was it? HD DVD. And HD DVD format was the like the Microsoft backed one, and the Blu-ray format was the Sony backed one, and Blu-ray won out because Microsoft was kind of in over their head with that. And it's kind of ironic to me that now the new PlayStation doesn't support the latest format Blu-rays, and yet the Microsoft console does. So it's like, what is going on here with that? Somebody at Sony is not talking to somebody else at Sony. There's some kind of weird in-fight battle going on in there, where one half of the company doesn't know what the other half is selling. So that's an interesting one. But on the heels of that, I also happened to notice an article, and this article actually, this news came out actually at the end of August, but I didn't catch onto it until I didn't see it in my feed until just recently. But there was an update to the PlayStation Now service. PlayStation Now allows you to pay subscription fee, and you'll gain access to video games to play, to stream to your console. Now they've just released, and when did they make the blog post for this? August 30th they made the blog post for this, but now you can stream to your PC from PlayStation Now. If you sign up for PlayStation Now, which it's like $20 a month, I want to say. If that's, yeah, 1 month, it's $20 a month, or US, or you get 3 months for $45, which is, you know, those weird sort of quarterly packages and stuff. And then 1 year you can prepay a whole year, I think, or something like that too. But it's the interesting thing about this is that it's sort of, I guess this is their response to Microsoft saying, hey, you can play Windows, you know, you can play games on your Windows 10 PC in addition to your Xbox One console and all that stuff. Well, you know, the PS Now is now, you can stream those things down to your Windows PC and play the games from the cloud. So basically, you'll have all the cloud saves and all that stuff, but it's and you can then, you know, play it on your console if you want it to, if you own the game. If you're doing the subscription thing, I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I guess the subscription transfers over too and all that stuff. And it now allows you to be able to basically get some of the benefits of playing PlayStation games or PlayStation exclusives that you wouldn't get on the PC. There's some caveats there. One of them is that it only will work with a DualShock 4 wireless controller with the either with the USB mini cable, meaning you have to plug it in, or with the wireless adapter, the USB wireless adapter. So what that means is, now there are people out there who have already started to figure out how to get it to work with, like, since it's running on a PC, you can sort of emulate a DualShock 4 controller with other controllers, and there's a couple different programs you can run. Not really going to get into that too much, because I don't think anybody's ever gotten it to work. I don't think there's too many people that have gotten it to fully work, but there's like 3 or 4 programs you have to run to sort of emulate X inputs and all that stuff. But a lot of people have correctly pointed out that, hey, you know, the DualShock 4 controller has Bluetooth, right? And it communicates with the, you know, the console via Bluetooth. Why is it suddenly that it needs a USB adapter? And, you know, at first you might say, well, there's not that many desktop PCs with a Bluetooth on them, right? But when you look at the specs for the PC app here, it says Windows 7, Service Pack 1, 8.1, or 10, Core i3 2.0 gigahertz, 300 megabytes of available storage, and 2 gigs of RAM, sound card, and USB port. Which, those are pretty low ball specs, because obviously you're not playing the game on the PC, you're just streaming it down to your PC. So that means that kind of opens up the area for people who have laptops, because that's pretty much, those specs are pretty much low ball even for laptops, maybe even average laptops, right? And a laptop generally has Bluetooth on it. Most of them do. Most modern ones do. So why the lack of that? Why the USB dongle? Why is that needed? And, you know, obviously they want you to have DualShock 4 controller. It doesn't support the DualShock 3, so it's like, all right, so you're really forcing my hand as far as you're trying to force more hardware down my throat, basically, with that. But like I said, there are enterprising individuals out there who are figuring out other ways of using your existing hardware. In fact, someone even was mentioning that they were trying to get it to work with the Steam controller, and you can then download the Steam, you know, controller mappings and all that stuff. So interesting stuff there. You also need a 5 megabits or greater internet connection. So if you're on like a metered connection where you get charged at some point, or you get nasty grams if you go over a certain limit on your downloads, this obviously is not going to be for you, because it's going to eat up a lot of bandwidth just for a few hours of gaming, much more so than probably streaming Netflix or anything like that. So it's an interesting concept. I was very interested in at first, and I was like, oh, well, let's see. Let's look at the games, because there's some PlayStation exclusive games that I've wanted to play for a while, but I didn't want to upgrade my PS3 to do it, or even worry about my PS3. You know what I mean? I do have one, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to get this. Like the Uncharted games I've wanted to play for a while and all that stuff. So I looked at the games that they have listed here. And they say that there's only over 400 games that you can get as part of the subscription, the monthly subscription. They're all PS3 games, including some PlayStation exclusives. So I'm looking through this to see which ones would I get for this, because obviously most of the stuff that's out on the PS3 and 3 is also been ported to PC at some point. So which one of these things out of this 400 would be worth the time and the effort of actually getting a subscription for? And I'm looking through it, I'm like, well, okay, the Assassin's Creed stuff is in here, but that's all available for PC. You got Metro Last Light, but that's available for PC. Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch, that is still a PS4 exclusive, so that would be number one. So that could be one reason. Ninja Gaiden, I don't know if... So they've got Ninja Gaiden 3, Razor's Edge, Sigma, and Sigma 2. I don't know if those ever came out for PC or not, so that might be a maybe. All right. Let's see. The Batman Arkham games are all out for PC, so that's not one. The Penny Arcade Adventures are all out for PC, so that's not one. Overlord and Overlord 2 are out for PC, so that's not one either. Bionic Commando, I don't know if that ever came out for PC, so that's a thing, maybe, possibly. Let's see if there's any other. So the Borderlands franchise, obviously that's out on PC. I'm playing it now. And what else do we got on here? So Ratchet and Clank might be. I don't know if that ever got a PC release, but they got all the Ratchet and Clanks. Well, they got some Ratchet and Clank episodes here, like A Crack of Time, All for One, Full Frontal Assault into the Nexus, Quest for Booty. So that might be. I'll say that that's still probably a PlayStation exclusive, and I'll give them a number 2 on that one. And then Rayman 3 HD and Rayman Origins, I think, and they're only available for a limited time, so I think that would be a number 3 on there, because I think they're still exclusive to the PlayStation. Darksiders had PC releases. Dead Island has PC releases. What else? Resident Evil, I believe most of these have had a PC release. There's Resident Evil 4, 5, Gold Edition, 6, Code Veronica, X, Darkside Chronicles, Umbrella Chronicles. I think they all had PC releases, so that's not one. What else do we got on here that jumps out at me? All the Saints Row games have had PC releases. Dynasty Warriors, I believe, has had PC releases. Dynasty Warriors 7, 7 Empire, 7 Extreme Legends, and 8, and Strike Force, I think, are all available for PC, so I can't really give them a number 4 for that. Let's see. What else here? Shadow of the Colossus. That's number 4. Okay, so you got me there. And what else is jumping out here? I don't see. The F1 games have had PC releases. The God of War franchise. Okay, that's number 5, because you got the God of War HD 2, 3, Ascension, Chains of Olympus, and Ghosts of Sparta. Those are still PlayStation exclusives. So what else on here? Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, I think is still has a PC release, so that's not it. Tales from Space has had PC releases. The Last of Us and The Last of Us Left Behind, that would be 6 probably, because I don't think they've had PC releases or ports. And what else? The Uncharted series, that's 7. So Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception Game of the Year, and Uncharted Drake's Fortune. And then so you got XCOM, that's had a PC release. And Mega Man 10 and 9, I guess. Yeah, that would be 8, because I don't remember those ever being on PC. And yeah, that about covers it. That about covers it. Went through that whole list of 400, and there's about 8 reasons that you would maybe do this. And then after you're done with those, it really, I mean, everything else that they that they have on this list has had PC releases, and a lot of these are so old now you can probably get them for dirt cheap. Like even like they got BioShock, BioShock 2, and BioShock Infinite. They just BioShock Remastered was just released, although it's had some bad reviews because it's apparently not working too well. Given that, you could probably pick up the older ones that are unreleased, or the older ones that aren't the re-release, for probably pretty cheap. So that would be a thing. And Borderlands, I know you can get the entire pack of Borderlands for almost nothing anymore. So yeah. Oh, and number 9, I guess, would be Heavy Rain. They do have Heavy Rain on here, which I think is still a PlayStation exclusive. So yeah, it's. I was looking at it, I'm like, is there really any use for me to do this? You know, to download this app and then try to get a subscription and stuff. I'm like, Uncharted almost has sort of. I'm on the fence because I'm like, Uncharted, from what I've seen of it, looks pretty fantastic. I would like to have been able to play the entire entire collection because they did release that. But apparently they didn't release that for the PS3 maybe, and so I can't. They're only putting PS3 games up here. I don't know why. I guess it's because they really want you to buy a PS4. It's the only thing I can imagine. The Ni no Kuni one, I've seen a video playthrough of that, but I would definitely go and play that again. Or I would definitely go and play it, even though I know how it ends. But yeah, it's other than that. Not much else. There's not much else. I was never really into the Gears of War franchise. And yeah, there's nothing really else on here that would really blow my skirt up. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, still, I mean, I might, it's one of those things where you could pay a couple months, like do like 1 or 2 or 3 months or whatever, however long it takes you to play through the games that you want to play, and then just cancel it and be done with it. So I don't know. I don't know which way I would go with that. But I saw that come down. I was like, oh, this is interesting. They're trying to compete now directly with Microsoft on the PC. Still not quite doing it. They're doing it better than Microsoft would be anyway. They're actually doing it streaming, and you can get it that way. Whereas Microsoft's got this damn Windows thing, unlimited Windows majigger, whatever they call it, their damn acronyms all the time, that doesn't quite work well for anything. So there's that. Who knows? Of course, there is a difference there in that you sort of own that game versus this one. You're not really owning any games. You're just paying for the privilege to stream them. So that's what I have on the PlayStation 4 news and latest PlayStation news anyway. So leave links to things down in the description, as I always do, so you can go follow up on them and see if I'm just a lying bastard or not. And when it comes to that stuff, which, hey, with the PlayStation stuff, I may be, because I don't quite follow it that much. I just kind of saw these things and said, oh, let me peel this one off here and see what it does. Speaking of things that I don't really play, but I must speak about World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft Legion. They just had their expansion come out about a week or so ago, week or two maybe, and it's the latest World of WoW expansion. And it's gotten a lot of buzz, a lot of positive buzz. In fact, a lot of people who swore off of WoW for many years have started to come back to play it, because apparently it's got some of the more classic things, that classic gameplay that they knew and loved from before, only with a little extra, some more effort into it. And so that's interesting. According to the media here, I'll leave you a link to Rock Paper Shotgun. The World of Warcraft Legion has sold 3.3 million copies at launch, so it's tied their highest expansion. I've struggled all week to try to say this, to figure out how to say this, but basically it didn't break any records, but it tied their record for the most amount of people to buy something at launch from them as far as WoW goes. it's so hard to phrase that in such a way that it actually makes sense, but that's the best I could do there. So that's interesting, and I've heard some good things about it. I've seen a lot of people streaming it, and I am so out of the loop with that, and so not interested. When WoW first came out, I really wasn't that interested in it, especially since it was subscription based, and I was like, I can't really justify paying a monthly subscription fee for something that I may pick up here and there and not play, my heart out of. A lot of people have religiously played the game, and I sort of just missed out on it. And now that I look at it, I'm like, I still feel like I'm so far out of the loop that it just wouldn't be that interesting to me. So, that's unfortunate, but, it's for those who were into the early WoW and then were driven away from it, and then, look at this, you might want to come back to it. So be very cautious when you follow the links that I have left below. What else do I got here? So I'm trying to organize these in such a way they make some kind of sense. So Steam has updated their review algorithms. And it's a very recent update on this as of September the 12th. What they're doing now is they're trying to combat the practice of game developers giving out free copies of their game for good reviews. And it's something that has been happening. It's been happening for a while, and it's as shady and shameless as you can imagine. There are entire companies set up that just offer that service to developers who are going through green light and stuff, where they have a bunch of bots that they'll have about 200 bot accounts or so, and they will, if you pay them a certain amount of money and you give them a key to your game, or give them 200 keys to your game, whatever it is, they'll spread it out amongst their bots and have their bots all give you positive reviews. Although as you look through the reviews, you'll be able to see the ones that were generated programmatically, and that way, after 200 reviews, you actually get the thing on your page that says like very positive or mostly positive and all that stuff. If you're under 200 reviews, you don't get that because you don't have enough reviews. I don't think. I might be wrong on that, because I have seen some that do have that, but that was my understanding. You need at least 200 in order to get. You need 200 to get mostly positive. I think anything below that you can't. You can only get as far as very positive, or something like that. And mostly positive being the top tier. So they since that has become a thing, Steam has decided that they're going to, and Valve, I should say, has decided that they need to crack down on that. How they've cracked down on it is a bit of a point of contention, depending on which way you look at it. They've decided to crack down on it by not having key activations. Not having key activations by default count towards the top level, the above the fold, overall impression, or recent impression even. So they recently did where it's got like recent is very positive and overall is very positive, that kind of thing, or recent is very positive and overall is mixed, so you can see what based on the age of what's out there, how, if it's gotten better or worse and that kind of thing. Well, now by default, those will only be influenced by actual purchases made on Steam itself. The filters are right there in your face now, where you can change it to say all or just key activations, and then see how the ratings change based on that. But by default, it's just Steam purchases, and let's be honest, most people aren't going to change that because why bother, right? So what that means is that, and this is where it gets a little bit shady, is that for someone like me, I've been buying a lot of things from Humble Bundle, because since I subscribe to the Humble Monthly bundle, Humble Monthly, I mean, I get 10% off all my purchases. So, and then also, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, when there's sales going on the Humble store, which there often are, that's 10% on top of the sale price even. So it's just, it adds up after a while. You get things for a pretty good deal, plus 5% of your purchase goes to charity and all that stuff. And you get to choose what charity it goes to. Like I send it to the Electronic Frontier Foundation, all that stuff. So it's, you know, it's a very attractive way of doing things. And on top of that, since I'm in the Humble Monthly thing, every month at the beginning of the month, I get like 8 more games to do that I've paid for. It's just I didn't pay Valve directly for them. I paid for them on Humble Bundle or Humble Store. And there are also other instances where I go to the actual developer site, or I go to Kickstarter. I'm big on Kickstarter, right? So I'll kickstart something. I'll go to the developer's website and maybe go to their store page. They'll send me a key, and then I'll update that in Steam. All those things, all those purchases that I've made, all those legitimate purchases, I can write a review, which I'm not very big on writing reviews anyway, because it takes me forever and a day to write things, because I need pinpoint precision wording, and it's just some weird hang up that I have where I have to revise and revise and revise and revise, even though it's just a stupid little paragraph here and there. So if I were big into writing reviews, my reviews by default, even though they would show up on the page, would not count towards the above the fold, rating is the word I'm looking for. So that's kind of a big deal, especially early on in a game's life cycle, right? Like a game that's in, maybe not so much for a game that's in early access, but for a game that just got recently released, it's kind of a big deal, because if you were a Kickstarter game or a crowdfunded game, you really want your early backers you want their reviews to count. You want their reviews to get you onto the Steam Spotlight. And I think the Steam Spotlight stuff, the featured page and the front page and all that stuff, is driven by those, top ratings, right? So if that being the case, I don't know if they've changed that or not, but that being the case, that could really hurt a game when it first comes out, because the only people that have it when it first comes out are the Kickstarter, the early backers and all that stuff. And they've probably been playing it for a while, and they probably really like what they're doing. They're probably really invested in it, and they want to give it a good review, and they want others to see it. They want to give it a signal boost. And this kind of eliminates that, because they didn't quote unquote purchase it on Steam. Same is true for games that maybe never get that Steam Spotlight, because the Spotlight's only so big, right? Games that don't get that, but do get a lot of hits from outside of Steam, like from bundles, like Humble Bundles or Indie Bundles, or even from their website or their social media. Maybe they drove a lot of people to their website and they got it from there. Those games are going to suffer a lot, because most of their purchases are going to be outside of Steam, that then reflect in Steam, but don't reflect, the reviews don't reflect on the top level there, and thus they don't get that boost that they need for other people who only exclusively look through Steam or only exclusively buy from Steam. And it could hurt from those cases, and those aren't edge cases either. Those are pretty normal cases that happen to games on there. So it feels like it's a response to kind of an edge case that is now hurting legitimate cases. That said, is there a way for Valve to be able to tweak this? I don't know. They would have to get a little bit creative in their accounting, I think, in order to do that. Or more than likely, they would have to actually hire people to do it manually, to actually go through and moderate their reviews, which is something they are seemingly adverse to. Which, to be fair to them, there's a lot of stuff on Steam. Like, there's thousands and thousands of games on Steam, and just, I'm not sure there's enough people you could hire to to troll through all that stuff. But it's also kind of inevitable, because they're really not, being the biggest marketplace that they are, there's a lot of trolls, and there's a lot of reviews that are just really just need a human to come through and clean them up and say, like, this shouldn't count, this should count. There's a lot of people who just say, like, ridiculous things, like they'll upvote a horrible game because it's funny to them, or they will downvote a really stellar game again because they just feel like it. They don't have anything of substance, or devs did one little change that they didn't agree on, and now the whole game as a whole needs to burn. So it's things like that you really do need someone. If you're really that hung up on the review stuff, you really need a human being looking at it. I think they've done some good things as far as, there's now a checkbox that says, hey, I received this for free. So you can see that now. You see a message on things that say, I received this key for free, I received it for free. But since it's still a opt-in thing, bots are never going to say, oh, I received this for free, because it's going to affect things, right? If there's a way for Steam to be able to look through their data and say, this person received this for free, this person received this for pay, that might make it a little bit better. They would have to change their API, I think, a little bit to do that, so that when you activate keys, whether or not the key was something that was paid for or something that was given away. Like, if you had a certain scheme that you generated keys from, and say, like, we'll give you as a developer these set of keys, and these count as free keys, whereas these keys count as paid keys. It gets a little bit muddy. It's like, I think when you're purchasing something for Steam, I think the big thing is when you're trying to purchase something from Steam from a third party. I feel like Steam should have an API that allows them to do that. Like, the key should be generated from Steam, not one that is generated as, that's not one that's given to the developer and then passed on. I'm not even sure how it works now, so I'm probably just talking out of my ass as far as that's concerned, but there's probably something they could do to make this a little less all-encompassing and a little bit more laser-focused as far as how it's going there. Now, they came out and said, Valve came out and said that only about 160 or so games were adversely, heavily affected by it, but I think that's kind of bunk, because that sounds like very, that's a very low number. That's someone who was an intern for Valve going, yeah, I could write this SQL statement that gives me that information. That was not someone who has really the experience to go through and say, oh wait, we gotta look for other things here. That's what that number tells me, because that's way too low a number, given how prevalent this change would be, how earth moving this change is. That seems like somebody missed a decimal point there somewhere. But beyond that, I mean, does it really bother me that much. I don't really write reviews, so I guess it doesn't really bother me that much. I do think that, I do look at the overall, the rating when I'm looking at games, but then I also do some other research based on it. And I do look at some of the, I look at some of the reviews that people have left. I don't look at all of them because a lot of them are like, it's like reading, the worst of the worst, everybody thinks they're a comedian comments. You know what I mean? It's like here's a hot tip to you. If you're writing a funny review on something, you're not funny. Trust me. You may all your friends may call you funny. You're not. So there you go on that. That is all I can really muster. The drum beat that I can drum to, as far as the Steam updates have concerned. It's overall, I think, a step in the right direction. Valve being Valve will probably tweak it and step a few steps back again after they've hopped forward like this. But we'll just have to wait and see how it pans out. Much like everything else, what they could really do is to prevent those shady characters from, being on green light in the first place. That whole thing where it was like supposed to be like, we're going to let more people onto Steam, but we're going to kind of curate it a little bit. Yeah, whatever happened to that? Because it's not curated at all right now. It's like, hey, did you pay your $100? Okay, there's your Steam page. So there you go. There you go on that. On to other things. Let's see. Star Citizen released a video. I'll link it to Eurogamer. Talks about it a little bit. Some more information on their head stabilization, or I call it head stabilization. It's like visual vision stabilization or whatever for the FPS module, the first-person shooter module for Star Citizen. If nothing else, it gives you a nice little look-see as how far they're coming along with the FPS stuff. I did eventually get to log on to Star Citizen, and I looked around a little bit, and the server kind of kept kicking me off every 5 minutes or so. So I was like, well, all right, so this is about all I can expect right now. I mean, so far so good. I wish I could see some of that stuff myself. It hasn't been rolled out yet or anything, so right now it's all pretty and nice, but it's not yet in the hands of anyone who makes a difference, who matters. It's not in the hands of anyone who matters, namely the actual people who are playing the game. Once it does that and everybody can get into it and pick it apart, then we'll see what it looks like. This was a little footnote that I saw fly by, and I wanted to just relay it here. But apparently Interplay released a press release saying that they are going to sell off a significant portion of their IP. Intellectual property. I don't know why I kept repeating IP, like you know what IP is. Their intellectual property. So they are, let's see, they're going to sell about 70 titles and dozens of characters as part of this IP. So they've listed here Earthworm Jim, Free Space. So Free Space is now going to be available for some IP. The IP for it is now going to be available for someone to pick up. That's kind of exciting, actually, assuming someone does something with it. Giants, Kingpin, Messiah, MDK, Run Like Hell, Sacrifice, Battle Chess, Clay Fighter, Dark Alliance, and Descent. And actually, there's some Descent-like games going out that were kickstarted recently, and things like that are in progress. So it might be interesting to see if who snatches up the Descent title there, because I remember there was one game that was calling itself Descent Remastered or something like that, and Interplay came down hard on them with the cease and desist. So it'll be interesting to see if something like that crops up again. So yeah, they're apparently they're in the process of just selling off a bunch of their IP because I guess they're hurting that badly, and waiting to see who snatches up all that stuff. I imagine if I were a betting man, I'd say probably EA is going to snatch up a bunch of that. EA and or possibly, well, it'd be interesting if Blizzard snatched one up, but I doubt they will. They have their own in-house stuff to deal with. But I would imagine that's probably going to get snatched up by EA or possibly Rockstar, maybe. Is Rockstar part of EA, or are they still independent? I don't even remember. I think they're still independent, but don't quote me on that. Because I remember there was like this whole thing at one point where it was like, we're losing money, we need somebody to buy us, and then they somehow got out of it or something. I don't remember. It's it's been such a long time. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else and not what I said there. But anyway, that has been a thing. So we'll see who, keep a little ping out there on your radar to see who picks up those IPs, especially the ones that I would be interested in, like Descent and Free Space and stuff. So we'll see what happens there. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, the space shooty bang bang that is the new Call of Duty, released a story trailer, and I'll link you to a rock paper shotgun on that. I was watching that a little bit earlier, and it's definitely a Call of Duty trailer. I mean, it's small on substance and big on explosions. I know that it's a misnomer where people, I realize that most normal people do not go into a Call of Duty game and go, I'm going to play the single player. Unfortunately, I'm one of those people who says, I'm going to play the single player. So I played Battlefield Hardline for the single player. I actually enjoyed the single player for what it was. I mean, it wasn't earth-shattering stuff, but it was, it was interesting for what it was. I'm kind of assuming that this is going to be the same thing with the Call of Duty stuff. Is like, it'll be probably, tropey as hell, and, basically the lowest tier possible of story writing that you can find. But it's space and explosions and space fighters, and I can't help myself. I just can't help myself. I need to play it just because sci-fi and all that things. That said, I still haven't played Modern Warfare, or was it Modern Warfare with the exosuits in it? Modern Warfare 3, maybe? I don't know. One of those. Whatever the very last Call of Duty game, I think it was, that had like the exosuits and stuff in it. I still haven't played that. And that's like sufficiently sci-fi that I should have probably touched it at some point, but I'll wait for that to be on sale maybe, because I don't know. It's one of those things where you try to find people who have rated the single player game, and then you realize nobody plays the single player game, so you're like, well, I don't know if this is for me or not. I heard the multiplayer was decent, but nobody plays the single player, so I don't know. I don't know if it's for me or not. I'm not big on the multiplayer for those games, because there's no way, like, as much as I appreciate that, the multiplayer first-person shooter games are not usually that difficult to get into, there's never enough time for me to ever be good at anything. So jumping into those is like asking for trouble. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I might have some fun. But more than likely, as soon as I spawn, I'm going to get shot, and then I'll spawn again and get shot, and then spawn and get shot. If I got a run that's longer than 20 seconds, I'll be good. So that's why I don't generally do the first-person shooter multiplayers, unless I know the community is small enough that I can actually deal with that. Not everybody has been eating, sleeping, and living the game since it was pre-alpha, But anyway. And that is actually, I believe that's supposed to come out November 4th, I think. And I think they're having their first multiplayer alpha for that game, for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, in August. I don't remember when. I wanted to say August the 4th, but I don't know if that was the right one. It flashed up very quickly. It's in the video there. You'll see it for yourself if you watch it. So the crew, Ubisoft's open world racing game that I tried playing. I actually own it. I tried playing it when it first came out, and I didn't really enjoy it at all. I tried it on a live stream, and it was not good. Apparently, it's gotten a lot better since I last played it, and it's had a couple expansions that I have not dug into. So I might go back and take a look at it, but it's now free. The first game is. The expansions are not, but the first game is now free. You can go and just go on Ubisoft and on Uplay and just log in get all the updates that you haven't gotten because you haven't logged in for over 2 years, and then download it for free and make it part of your library. It started as of the 14th. I don't know how long it's going to be free for, or if it's just going to be permanently free. I don't know, but I would suggest you jump on it as soon as you can, because I'm already a couple days late on announcing it. So there you go. And like I said, I don't know. I've heard that it's gotten better than when I played it. When I played it, it was just a mess. So I'm tempted to go play it, but I couldn't tell you what kind of state it's in right now. Much like Destiny, Destiny was a mess when I started to play it. When I first tried to play it, it was constantly kicking me off the servers, and I still have it on a list. I still have it on my list as go back and revisit this, because it's apparently still a very vibrant community, and people are still. They say it's gotten a lot better with some of the expansions. So I want to go back and play that at some point, but time is not on my side as far as that is concerned. The creator of SpaceChem and TIS 100 and Infinifactory has announced a new puzzle game called SHENZEN I, and it's pretty much what you would expect from this creator, where it's basically taking the gameplay of TIS 100, where you had you had to type in the assembly language code, and it's put it on a grid. Not a grid, but on an integrated circuit, and you have a bunch of circuits that you're typing it into, and then a bunch of pathways, and you have to get the pathways and the circuits to line up properly so that you get the correct messages on the little LCD screen and all that stuff. It looks interesting from a perspective of if you're into those kinds of games. You remember I played through TIS 100 a little bit. I played for about an hour of it. I enjoyed that. It came with its own PDF manual, so you had to look in the manual to see what the commands were, and then apply those to the various scenarios that were listed there. I do own Infinifactory. I have not played it. I've heard it's really good too. Zachtronics, that's the name of the company. I've heard that's pretty good too, but I have not dug into that one yet. But this one I definitely have on my list to take a look at, because I'm into the programming stuff. So because I do it for a living. So I'm in the minority as far as that is concerned, probably. But I like those games. To me, those games don't really qualify as puzzle games because I can understand them. Whereas something like the Turing Test, which I'll talk about a little bit, does definitely count as a puzzle game, because I will easily stumble and fall with those. So that said, I want to get out there before we talk about some of the games I've been playing this week. The Humble Store is in the process of having an end of summer sale right now, and the deals are really good. Earlier in the week, they actually were giving away Tropico 4 for free. Unfortunately, it's not free anymore, but I just looked, it's like $3.74, so it's practically free. So if you want to go pick that up, I would suggest you do that. There's only, as of right now, which is like almost 11 p.m. on Saturday. There's 4 days left and 14 hours, so you still got a little bit of time, but I would jump on it as soon as you can. Some of the things, a couple things that I saw on here that are really good deals. Just Cause 3 is 50% off at $30 US. As I was talking about earlier, The Crew, the Wild Run expansion, they actually have that here for 40% off at $12. So you can pick up The Crew right now for free, and then you could pay for the expansion if you wanted to. I've heard the Wild Run expansion actually really makes the game good. That was probably the best thing they ever did to the game. So, yeah, but I don't know for sure because I haven't played it. So don't take what I say for gospel. Go look for yourself and do your own due diligence. And what else did I see on here? Project Cars. Now, I've said for a while I've been on the fence about Project Cars. I've wanted to buy it, but I was like, I'm not quite sure. Well, I just bought it because it is 66% off at $10.19 US right now on Humble summer sale. And if you are a Humble monthly subscriber like me, you get an additional 10% off of that. So I was actually down to $9 and change for that. What else do they have on here that's interesting? The Escapists Humble Deluxe Edition is only $6.11, 66% off right now. There's a bunch of things that are $5 or less, so let's take a look at those, because there's some good ones on here. Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut, fantastic game, $5 right now, 75% off at the Humble store. I would highly recommend it. Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, I've heard that's pretty good, but I'm not a Dark Souls fan, so there you go. That is $5 as well. Rise, Son of Rome is $5 at 75% off. That is kind of a linear, action game. I was tempted to call it an adventure game, but it's really just action, and it's linear. It is what it is. If you're like, hey, I'd really just like to chop off some heads and see some blood, there you go. Rise, Son of Rome. That probably, I think that sums it up really well. Hotline Miami 2, Wrong Number, is 75% off at $3.74. The remake of Tomb Raider, the original remake of Tomb Raider, it just says Tomb Raider, not Tomb Raider 1, just Tomb Raider. It's $5 right now at 75% off. Shadow Warrior, the remake of that one as well, the recent remake of that one, that is 90% off at $4 US right now. Titan Souls Special Edition. I don't know what's different between the Special Edition and the regular edition, but the Special Edition right now is $4. I played that on a stream many moons ago. It's difficult but fair is what I would say on that. It's definitely a punishing game where one hit and you die, but let's put it this way. If I was able to get through it without getting too incredibly frustrated, and I only died about 150 times, then you'll probably be okay with it. Let's put it that way. FTL Advanced Edition. Man, this has been around for ages and ages. It is like 70% off right now at $3. I mean, if you've never picked up FTL, now is your chance, because, I mean, it's a pretty damn good game. You'll see, once you play it, you'll see why the recent spat of roguelikes, you'll see all the inspiration that they've been getting because FTL did it really well, and it's dirt cheap right now. I would just, if you can find some change in your couch cushions, if I can say couch cushions, it's not that hard to say it, but I am struggling. This is the one I would put it onto, honestly. What else? Oh, the original Deus Ex. Yes, the original Deus Ex is 75% off at $1.74 US right now. It doesn't hold up as far as graphics concerned, but if you purchase this, I do believe, since this is a Steam key technically, you'll be able to download for free the revision mod, which does a bunch of changes to it and graphical overhauls and all that stuff, and that's free. So you might want to try it. You never know. I've still had a lot of trouble with revision where I can't record it without it being ridiculously dark, but playing it seems to be okay so far. So whatever the case may be. And what else on here jumps out at me? Bastion is 75% off at $3.74. This goes on sale a lot, usually for about 75% off. So you can either jump on it now or wait for the next sale, because it's been slowly, ever so slowly, going down even more in price as time goes on. So maybe not rock bottom yet, but you can. It's certainly a very good game if you're into the fully narrated, the narrator's constantly talking games. Then that's probably right up your alley. I don't know if that's the thing that people are actually into, or I'm like, if you're into someone constantly talking into your ear, dial 1-900-555. Anyway, Hitman Absolution is 75% off at $5 US. The Dungeon Siege games I've seen on here too are on sale. I played Dungeon Siege 1 many moons ago, never finished it. I actually went and picked up all the Dungeon Siege games again on here, because they're all like $1.74 right now, roughly, like between $4 and $2. So you might want to look into those if you've never played Dungeon Siege. Or if you did play Dungeon Siege like I did back in the day, and you're wondering like you'd like it on Steam instead of trying to dig up your CD and getting CD cracks and all that stuff, then here you go. The original Dungeon Siege is $1.74. The Dungeon Siege 2 is $1.74, and Dungeon Siege 3 is $3.74. So there you go on that. What else do we got on here? EVE Online is 75% off at $5. Spreadsheets in space is all I can say about that. Just Cause 2 is 75% off at $3.74. I enjoyed Just Cause 2, and also the original Just Cause. I think I played through that too. I enjoyed them. They are very, 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 very mindless though. So if you're having a bad day at work, if you had a bad day at work or something like that, it's nice to come home and just blow shit up. But if you're looking for story or something like that, this is not what you want for that. If you're looking to just like blow off some steam, or just basically just have a bunch of explosions and just make all the AI, citizens freak out and stuff, this might be up your alley. So that's about the most glowing I can be about it, because it literally is. You got to be in the right mindset. Most people who pick up Just Cause hate it because they're just not. There's nothing really to it other than go from one spot to another and blow shit up. That's really all there is to it. And latch on to a helicopter while it's in midair and kick the pilot out of it and take it over, and things like that. Just crazy weird stuff is basically what Just Cause is all about, and Just Cause 2 and Just Cause 3 for that matter. Although I don't think Just Cause 3 was on sale, but not for, it's still like $30 or so, something like that. And Dungeons and Dragons Chronicles of Mystara. If you don't know what this is, there were 2 Dungeons and Dragons arcade games back in the day. One was called Dungeons and Dragons Tower of Doom, and the other one was called Dungeons and Dragons Shadows over Mystara. Both of those took place in the fictional content of Mystara, which was, I think, D&D maybe 2nd edition rules, maybe, or even earlier than that. I'm not sure. They were nice. They were cool side-scrolling arcade games. And Chronicles of Mystara takes both of those games, puts them, emulates them, and gives you like little achievements as you go along and stuff like that. Very cool game. I enjoyed it very much. I played the entire game. It's about 2 hours long. I played the entire, both games on a live stream. I wish I could have shown you that on YouTube, but unfortunately, Content ID had a different idea as far as that is concerned. And to that I say, fuck Geek and Sundry, because they just fuck them. Is all I can say about that. So that's unfortunate, but yeah, it's a very cool, very awesome game. It's 67% off and $4.94. Definitely worth it if you don't mind the old school arcade stuff. The music in that game just phenomenal, because obviously it was an emulated arcade game, so the arcade machines were almost always really good when it came to music, because that was the big attractor to get you to go to the cabinet. It's like, oh, what's that music? I hear that. That sounds really cool, Shadowrun Dragonfall Director's Cut. I heard that Shadowrun Dragonfall expansion was actually really fantastic. I own it. I still have not gotten through any of the Shadowrun games. They're on my list. Another long form RPG that I want to do at some point and just may never get the opportunity to do it. But that is 80% off at $3 right now. And Chivalry Medieval Warfare is 80% off at $5. This is the I think what is it? For Honor is the next one in the list here. That's kind of like Chivalry, but with more detailed battle mechanics. This is the granddaddy of that one. Chivalry is the granddaddy of that one, or the father of that one anyway. And the For Honor that's upcoming game, that's kind of in the same realm as this, so that give you a little bit of an idea of what you can expect from Chivalry Medieval Warfare. It is a multiplayer game, so I don't know if the community is still there. I imagine it still is, because it was a really fun game from what I could see, but I couldn't tell you how many concurrent people are still playing that. And that is... nothing else really jumps out at me as something on here that would be really interesting, but yeah, basically that was a long-winded way of saying get over to Humble Store and start buying some stuff, because there's a lot of good stuff on sale. It's not a very highly publicized sale. Humble Store generally isn't very highly publicized, and it's there's some really good deals there. Stardew Valley is like 20% off at $12 right now. So if you're waiting for that to come down in price, there you go. There's your kick in the pants. So yeah, I would say go run over there and see what you can see. There's a bunch of things I have not even talked about. There's a whole Capcom sale, a whole Deep Silver sale, Telltale Games sale over there. $5 or less is what I went through. There's a bunch of things that are just out now, coming soon games. It's the whole shebang in 9 yards there. So that is what I have to say on that. And speaking of Telltale games, Remote Episode 8 is out now. I'll leave a link to something that will tell you more about that. I will be playing that very shortly. But I'm more interested in the Batman Telltale Series. Episode 2 is coming out on September the 20th, this coming Tuesday. I've heard, I have not watched the video for it, because I heard that the video has some spoilers in it. So be forewarned. I will probably leave you a link to something that has a video on it. Just be forewarned ahead of time that there might be some spoilers. I have not watched it myself because I'm not quite sure, and I don't want it to be spoiled for me. So I really want to see, because they left it on a real cliffhanger at the end. As to what was going on, so I don't want to really dig into it at all. I want to be surprised on Tuesday, so there you go. Those two things are coming out, and expect many a video on those on my channel. and I did not get a chance to talk about all the stuff that I've been playing, but we'll get to that at some point. I do want to talk about the Turing Test, though, before we leave. For a puzzle game, I don't usually play puzzle games because I'm usually pretty bad at them. I immensely enjoyed the Turing Test. I immensely enjoyed it because of the story, mostly, and also because the puzzles were easy enough that I could just deal with them. There were some head scratchers there towards the end, but it was really not that bad. And I really enjoyed it a lot. There are 2 more episodes of that coming up. Episode 10 and 11, and then that's it. It's done. I'm completely finished the game. I've been finished it for about a week now. That's why there's been a lack of any other videos on my channel since then, because it's like I just literally sat down and just played the entire game, because I hadn't put everything else aside because I wanted to play that. I got so sucked in by it. I liked what I was seeing. I liked the story of it and what was going on. So expect that, and it's a very good game. I enjoyed it. I'll leave you a link to some more information on it, and then we'll have to talk next week about some of the other things I've been playing and what's on the list. But other than that, that will do it for this episode of Cube Ramblings. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, on YouTube or listening on SoundCloud, and I will see you next Sunday.